Hey y'all, it's Lindsey. I have gotten a ton of requests for my low-carb, keto-friendly angel food cake recipe, and I wanted to bring that to you today. So this is a slice of my low-carb, keto-friendly angel food cake. It is super good. It holds its shape really, really well. Just a couple things. Number one, this recipe is adapted from the Trim Healthy Mama butterfly wings cake. I do add some different things to it, and I change up the ratios a little bit because I found with their cake it would sink into nothingness almost every single time. This one isn't as light and fluffy. That's the second caveat, is because I added a different ingredient to it. It's not as light and airy. It doesn't quite melt in your mouth the way that the butterfly wings cake does with the Trim Healthy Mama recipe, but that affords a couple of really cool things, especially as far as not eating this just as a cake. This is delicious, but it's delicious as a cake, I should say, but whenever you slice it and turn it into French toast, it is fantastic. I love eating it that way. I also have shown a lot of times when I have cubed up this cake and turned it into kind of like croutons with my air fryer back here. It turns out so fantastic as sort of like a replacement for granola. It's not as calorically dense as a traditional granola or even a keto-friendly granola that'll just use tons of nuts and coconut and all those things. That is a great alternative for a granola, but this, for some reason, I just really like the crunchiness of it, the lightness of it. It just really feels like a sweet crouton whenever you cube it up and pop it in the air fryer. So this has been a really versatile little cake for us, and let me show you how I make it.
All right, first step is we're going to preheat our oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. The next step is to line my loaf pan with parchment paper. I will not be greasing this pan because I want the batter to grab onto the sides of this parchment. Next up, I need to powder up this sweet blend that I make myself. I do have a video on this, and I know that my little spice grinder that's dedicated to grinding sweeteners and psyllium husk, I know this holds approximately a half cup, so that's perfect for this. And now I'm going to go ahead and pour 1 1/2 cups of egg whites into a large bowl, and then I'm going to sprinkle on 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. I like to sprinkle it on top to sort of disperse it and not have one giant clump of the xanthan gum on the egg whites. I like to break that up with my whisk, and I'm using my immersion blender here, and I'll be beating these egg whites into very stiff peaks. I really love this small appliance in my kitchen. I use it almost daily. I use it for making mayonnaise, for whipping cream. It's just a super versatile tool that was very inexpensive at Walmart. And in my experience, the inexpensive immersion blenders work just as well as the expensive ones. Now that my egg whites are totally beaten, I'm going to combine my dry ingredients. I've got 1/2 cup of my sweet blend. I'm going to be using 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to use 1/4 cup of the Isopure zero carb unflavored whey protein and 1/4 cup of psyllium husks that I have ground up in that same coffee grinder that I used earlier. And then I'm going to use 1/2 cup, a scant half cup of my oat fiber. This Life Source oat fiber has been one of the best I have used personally. It doesn't have a weird cardboard flavor. I can get it on Subscribe and Save, and it's really economical that way. I forgot to add in some vanilla, and I wanted a little bit more sweetness to the cake, so I added in about half a dropper full of some stevia, so maybe 20 drops. And I'm going to gently fold that into my egg white mixture so that it will incorporate well into my dry mixture. The whole goal is that you don't want to deflate your egg whites too much. They will deflate some just because you are agitating them, but you want to keep them as light and airy as possible and try to fold your dry mixture into your egg whites gently but thoroughly, because finding a pocket of dry ingredients in your final product is not the most pleasant thing on the planet. Okay, I've got that pretty well mixed, so I'm going to transfer that into my ungreased pan. That is really key for this. You really want your batter to be able to grab a hold of that parchment paper and rise well. So I'm going to scrape out as much as I can, and I'm going to smooth out my top. Into my preheated oven, again that was 325 degrees Fahrenheit, I am going to slide my cake, and I'm going to set my timer for about 30 minutes for this first round, and then I'm going to check on it. At around 2 minutes left, I'm going to look at this cake. It is turning a lovely shade of sort of soft yellow, starting to get golden, but it needs some more time, so I flipped the cake around and I added 14 more minutes to my timer. And now it is totally done. It is a gorgeous shade of golden brown. It's not jelly-like in the middle. It's firm but soft, and it is ready to come out of my oven. I'm going to use a toothpick tester just to verify that the inside of my cake is totally done, that there's no more raw dough, or batter rather. This is a cake, it's batter, not dough. And my toothpick came out clean, and I'm ready to transfer my cake over to my cooling rack. This is where that parchment paper really comes in useful. I'm going to be able to completely remove my cake from my pan with it not sticking to anything. It does stick to that parchment paper, which was exactly what we wanted it to do. And now I am able to flip my cake around, peel off that parchment paper. It peels away beautifully. There is no significant residue left on my parchment paper. My cake comes out beautifully clean. It has started to sink just a smidge, which is very typical for an angel food type of a cake, especially whenever you're not using standard sugars or flours. Whenever you're letting this cake cool, you do kind of want to flip it back and forth, sort of similar to the way that I did with my keto bread in a previous video, and that really helps it to keep its shape. I'm going to use a small serrated knife to slice through this cake, and I want to be very gentle with it and just kind of take it easy because I don't want it to rip up on me. And it's still a little bit warm, so slicing is a little bit more delicate. But as you can see, it is a lovely texture.
Currently, I've got some lightly whipped cream on top, and so it's a little bit of a process to make this, of course. I think with most keto baked goods, it will be that way. I've also got some raspberries here, because if it's not pretty, what is it? Boom. Okay. So I have my little angel food cake here, and give it a taste for you. That vanilla really makes a difference. The original recipe that I adapted did not have any kind of flavoring whatsoever, because, you know, an angel food cake doesn't really have a ton of flavor. It's really just a soft, spongy vehicle for whipped cream and fruit. But adding the vanilla really amps up the flavor profile. I'm gonna go and finish this, and I really hope you'll give this cake a try. Tell me what you do with it. Tell me how you change it to make it more user-friendly for you. By adding in that oat fiber, it really does make the difference for this having solid structure so that it can be more versatile. The original recipe from Trim Healthy Mama, it's good, don't get me wrong. This, I feel like it's more versatile. We don't just keep around cake all the time, just for the sake of having cake, but whenever I can have something versatile like this, I will keep it around a little more often so that I can off the cuff just make up some French toast, or off the cuff just make up some sweet croutons for a yogurt and fruit parfait kind of a thing. So again, let me know if you try this out, and I hope to see you in my next video.